Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Welcome to another episode of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight, we are talking about Season 5, Episode 8, The Last Day. We have a fun show for you guys tonight, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Everybody's back!
Boom!
Yay!
I'm not as happy about it as all of you. I assumed that when I had fought Jessie, it was to the death, and you would have just respected that and stayed dead. But
You have all of your limbs, you have, like, all of your vital organs are still vital.
Everything's here. I've kept my eyes. Tehran will learn that death is just the beginning of the adventure.
I'm so disappointed. This is what
Wasn't that in a
this?
trailer this week?
What? I think that's from The Mummy, if I remember correctly.
No, death is only the beginning. That's from The Mummy. It's Peter Pan, where death would be, to die would be an awfully great adventure.
Okay, so I'm mixing two classic movies, Peter Pan and Brendan Fraser's The Mummy.
Don't start knocking The Mummy. The Mummy is fantastic.
When did I ever knock The
Not
Mummy?
the new Mummy. We're not talking about Tom Cruise's Mummy.
Oh my
are we?
gosh.
Tom Cruise's The Mummy.
Don't even get me started.
The Dark Universe.
Or lack thereof
dead
now.
Yeah, the Dead
For
Universe.
sure. Hey there, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Welcome back. We've got everybody here on the table, so let me not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get down to the introductions. To my left, Jessie Klein.
Hey, glad to be back, everyone. I'm Jessie Klein. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1.
To his left, back on the West Coast, Tehran.
I'm the disappointed I am Tehran, as Jessie's still alive, after I did my best to fight him to the death.
There's always next time, man.
I know, that's true. Thank you.
You'll get him. You'll
Thank
get
you.
him.
I believe in you, Tehran.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
And to his left, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on all of social media at that Zach Wilson. And I will just remind you guys that because we didn't see a body, this is Marvel, so there cannot be a death.
That's true.
That's true.
Good point.
That's
That
true.
is a good point.
Yeah.
Next time, Tehran, make sure there's a body.
Bring the body into this studio.
I didn't think about it. See, that's why we need Zach, and he could have told me that I knew I was forgetting something when I was killing you.
There's rules here. There's policies in place for how this all works.
Yes, absolutely. Next time you try to kill Jessie, you make sure that you have Zach on speakerphone so he can walk you through it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. See,
You're
this is why the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after show, we're not just a panel, we're a family.
Yeah.
You know? Anyone else would have been like, no, don't kill Jessie.
I believe
My
in you.
family knows that I believe in a principle.
It's-
and that principle is
Killing me.
to the death.
We want to make sure that we're encouraging everybody here in their own endeavors.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and the chat is involved too, because Haywood Wong says Tehran is back to talk about balls.
Well, it's actually not just balls, they are Sonara's balls. And that is a big key difference.
That's how you killed me.
I feel like that's an important distinction. I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. Zach has got you guys on the live chat. We're also going to be keeping an eye on the hashtag ABTVMarvel for all of you guys following along on Twitter. So before we get started, we have a quick live read for you guys. Tuesday, when the CW's newest superhero suits up, lightning's gonna strike. Don't miss the new hit series Black Lightning. Black Lightning, aka Jefferson Pierce, had previously powered down his crime-fighting career for the last 9 years and had been saving lives the best way he knew how, as the principal of a local high school. But in this city, when the hero's away, the gangs will play. And this dude's a family man, so when his daughters get caught in the crosshairs, it's time to take charge. Now, the former hero is back in full force for a second round against corruption and violence, because lightning does strike twice. It's dark days for the city of Freeland, but the storm is coming when Black Lightning brings his power to the people. Critics are saying Black Lightning is positive, victorious, badass, like no other superhero show we've seen. The New York Post says, an entertaining, edgy piece of escapism. Tuesday, the world will know Black Lightning. All new episode after The Flash, only on the CW.
And it's lit. Can we just remember that it's lit? It's going to be lit.
It is.
I feel like that's an important addition. And also, there's a Black Lightning after show here on AfterBuzz TV. So be sure to check that out after you guys watch.
Thank
Also
you,
lit.
And thank you,
Also
Black
lit.
Lightning and the CW, for sponsoring today's show. It
Yeah.
helps keep the lights on. So go support
Literally
them.
so we stay lit.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get down to the nitty gritty. Okay, we've had a lot of discussions about time travel on this panel.
It was a dark episode. It was really sad.
Not only that, but like physically, all the lights got turned down even lower.
They had to use that. They had to use that hallway again,
like-
so they had to disguise it.
They're like, how do we make this hallway look different from the other 17 times we've used it?
Yeah.
Red light, red shells.
Giant base, and we keep coming back to this one mining room.
Yeah, I know.
So, I say this with respect and to the show because I really enjoyed the show. What is going on? Like, honestly, the only person who actually can watch the show and know what's going on is Robin, and she died. Like, I know, like, at this point, I no longer they better tie this in at the end so well, or I'm going to be so infuriated. I'll feel like I've wasted my time. Because I've put in effort. I've defended the show when you didn't so much like it. I've stayed with the course when you were trying to go through time travel. I've allowed you
what
to
have
say
you
a
allowed
couple
me to
things.
do,
You know,
Tehran?
you weren't on
Tell me,
board
what'd you allow
with
me to
Sonara's
do?
balls at first, and I allowed that. But now we've moved on. But at this point, it'll be Sonara's freaking scrotum on my face because I need this to tie in and just work, or I'm going to write letters. Like, forget my congressman. I'm writing the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. people. I'm telling you right now.
What is it specifically that's throwing you off? Is it the time travel?
It's not so much. It's not just the time travel loops. It's first of all, the decision making is so poor, and it goes against everything that they do character-wise, right? So the guy who's always like, let's stick together, goes, you know what? Let's split up, and we're gonna go with Flint. And then simple things like, hey, Flint makes a comment on then what's gonna happen, and instead of just saying this is what's going to happen, it's one of these like, then we won't have to do anything. Like, just explain the freaking plan. The worst part about the show, literally, is bad communication. If people just spoke up and spoke their mind and had direct communication. Hey, Deke, you're suspecting something? Why don't you tell the 4 people that have done everything in their power to show you that they're loyal and willing to help? But no, you go straight to the murdering guy, and where's my father? And then what happens? You get so close that
You get punched in the face.
Murder you too. Like, what is going on?
I feel like you've just described the biggest problem with every TV show and movie.
Well, yeah, I think what you're talking about is like fabricated issues. Like they're making problems for themselves instead of letting the narrative dictate what those problems
Which
are.
is already a big enough problem.
Yeah.
The world is destroyed. It can't get bigger than that. At that point, guys, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need, like, look, this is how I am, right? I'm not the nicest guy. I'm not like, but if I'm on a world that's like falling apart or falling apart, I'm not going to be like, but you didn't text me good morning. Like, at that point, I'm just going to let little drama slide. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
I'm going to just have real issues.
But
to
you
keep up
text
with.
me every morning, Tehran. Why?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
That text was the only bit of happiness I had in a world that's destroyed.
Tehran's never texted me in the morning. He only texts me for lunch.
That's like I feel like they're honestly creating problems. Now, I'm not as well versed in the comic book universe as everyone on this panel, but I'm versed in life. And the thing is, at some point, you're just making your own drama, guys.
Well, I think
real talk.
I think that is what what we're talking about is like with network TV, like they have to extend these episodes, they have to extend their narrative. So like those little closed loop issues that are really annoying are those things where it's like they need time. They just need to buy for time to extend the narrative.
And that's the thing that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been really good about before this point.
Exactly.
They've instead of like having like, oh well, we got to stretch this plot line out to 22 episodes when we could really do it in 10.
Yeah.
They've just done 2 pods, and then that way you have 2 stories that are really fast paced.
Absolutely.
And feel like they're flowing, but this feels like we could have done all of this in half the amount of episodes.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
If not you could have almost done this as a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest flaw in this episode, as you pointed out, Tehran, was dialogue based. And not to jump ahead, but might as well since Robin's story is pretty disjointed. But when Robin is on her deathbed, it's like the most stretched out thing. We both Jessie and I were going like Come on.
You can do it. You
Wrap
can
it
do it.
up. Wrap it up.
And then she
Robin, you're running
whispers.
out of time.
And then she whispers it.
May, what did she say? Nothing. She just said whisper, whisper, whisper. Who does that?
Now, all that being said, I love stories that are like non-linear narrative.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
I love time travel stories where you're seeing Robin, because she exists out of time like that, or she sees out of sequence in time, where she's giving information or advice to May in the future. In the future past, even though
That's what I wrote on the board.
Look, I think we can
Yeah.
apply like Lost season 6 terminology here. It's
Yeah.
a flash sideways.
yeah, in the sideways flash where like she's giving information, but it's not to the people who need it, and then
It's from her past to May's future.
Yeah, and it's allowing us as the audience to kind of put it all together, which I think is a really, like, when it works, I think it's really satisfying storytelling because you feel like you're helping put the pieces together.
But my problem is it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah.
Now, they might be able to tie it in the next episode or 2 episodes, but if it's 5 episodes down, it just seems like it's a long way to go. It's same thing happens in comedy when you go a long way for a punchline.
Sure.
Like, it's not that good a punchline that I had to listen to all of this. Now, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's one of those.
Sometimes you go on
Chappelle
that
starts the
journey.
joke
Yeah.
and then ends it, and you're like, brilliant. But as it goes right now, and I really like the flashbacks. I really like the character that I actually feel the most empathy for is Robin.
Yeah.
Because I can't even fathom what it must be like to see the universe as one time instead of in linear time, right?
Yeah.
That's something we as humans, it's very difficult for us to comprehend because that's not how we're built. So as everyone's getting upset at her, it must be very difficult, especially for a child Robin, to understand the universe. What I don't understand is why, not even just why a grown-up Robin doesn't just say what she has to say, get it, is why the writers who have shown in the beginning of this season even the capacity for great dialogue have dumbed down the dialogue. I mean, at one point, Max says something like, and it'll be another day, or something just so contrived that is unnecessary, especially when there's so much good storyline there.
That might have more to do with this particular episode's individual writer than the problems that are going on over the entire pod's arc.
Yeah.
But an interesting implication that we get, and not even necessarily implication, it's something Fitz says in one of these flashbacks, is that they're essentially in a time loop.
Yeah.
The portal that they create to go back in time, it sounds like they've done it more than once.
Yeah.
That they've tried multiple times. So on the one hand, it sounds like they can go back and forth without there being time paradoxes. However, it kind of ties back into the fixed point in time theory with the fact that they've been unsuccessful for each loop. Now, the big question is, how many times have they tried this?
I don't know. Does that matter?
I don't. Yeah.
Like if you're stuck in an infinite time loop, then it could be a billion times or 20 times. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I'm just wondering if he gave up his after 2 times.
I don't think it's that it's like this. It's like any knowledge that he's like done it again, but it's just that when they go back to the past, they trigger the events that caused this whole situation to happen. And I think that the versions that we're seeing of like May and we see Simmons on the Zephyr crashing, I think the idea is that those are actually our what we consider the current day versions, their future. Like this is what is going to happen when they go back. So that's all. Like they're gonna go back in time, pick up Robin, and then crash the Zephyr, and then. But their past selves have already gone through all this,
which says to me that they're selfish because they keep going back in time. Because clearly, whatever event happens is because they go back in time because they've already skipped over it. So Daisy doesn't exist in that linear timeline. So them going to the future, like. Jumping to the future and then going back is a selfish thing to do. Just die in the future and it never happened.
Well, that's what Voss. That's
what Voss is
arguing
and they
for.
never let it happen.
Yeah.
Because they're like, no, my one life or my individual life is worth more than everyone else. That's the guy who missed his turn, so he blocks the lane trying to make a left.
Yeah, but then that makes a paradox, because if they never go back in time and the world never explodes, then they never go to the future.
I think we're in, like, I was using All New X-Men as the closest analogy I could think of for how the time travel rules here. I think it's that, like, you've taken them out of the past, but it doesn't actually change anything.
The X-Men movie rule.
No, it's in the X-Men comics right now. The Beast, in order to try, I won't even try to explain what he was trying to do, but he went to the past. And
Cyclops is really sad.
Yeah, Cyclops is really sad. And he wanted to cheer him up.
Yeah.
It's more or less accurate. Yeah. So he goes back and he takes the original 5 X-Men as kids and brings them to the future. So now there's just like teenage versions of them running around, but it didn't actually disrupt the timeline at all.
Okay,
but because eventually they'll go back.
But
you
we
know who
already
would
see that
disagree with
they're...
that? Einstein. Continue.
Yeah, he would, for sure. But we already seen that there are implications, because May is saying things like, you don't tell me that yet. You have to wait to tell me that, and all of that kind of stuff. So the timeline is linear for our main team. Like, as we're seeing with the Robin flashbacks or Flash Sideways, that there is linear time for our main team. So if the things that happen in the future are affecting the things that happened in the past, then that's different than the X-Men world.
So would this be Back to the Future?
No, but have they not watched Butterfly Effect? Because clearly just let it... Okay, never mind.
Butterfly Effect,
Well,
or...
I feel like Butterfly Effect is also not in play, because we're getting the same outcome no matter what happens.
And
Like,
Butterfly Effect, it keeps getting worse and worse the more he tries to fix it.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
I mean, are we getting
He
worse
does
and worse
change
as we
the
keep trying to fix it?
Are you saying at first Daisy like only destroyed like
Like,
Minnesota?
there goes Texas, and
Well,
now it's the world.
I'm wondering
That's
if
great.
maybe if they are in a time loop, if what's happening is actually like that, what ends up destroying the world is actually the result of their what's the word?
Culmination.
That yes, the
Cumulative.
cumulative. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't pronounce it just there. The cumulative effect of them constantly going back in time.
Like some sort of pent up energy. That's
Yeah.
going on? That's interesting.
Like in terms of like it's messing with the space-time continuum, and it eventually just breaks the planet.
We did open up the possibility here. Like, everyone has been blaming Daisy for destroying the world, but we found out the only evidence of that is just seeing her on the Earth.
Yeah.
And then it happens. There's nothing.
I call shenanigans.
Yeah, when you guys were talking, when Voss was
hold
like,
on. To be fair, she was leaving a plane, which sometimes when I leave a plane,
you start a little earthquake.
you know, those bathrooms are there for a reason. That's all I'm saying. Hey.
Yeah, when
You
we
are
were
a
watching,
force of destruction when
Gotta
you
go.
get
You
off
don't
a
want to stay
plane.
here. You're like, "Ah."
when we were watching that, and Voss is showing Daisy the laptop, you two were like, "And this is proof how? And where is the proof?" You just showed a video of her leaving a plane, and then said that was the last anyone saw of Daisy
could have been
Johnson.
like-
And then 2 days later, there was an
She
earthquake.
could have been like, guys, I forgot my toothbrush.
Yeah.
Walked back to her apartment to go get it.
So
You don't know.
If Daisy's not, like, because from this reveal, I'm pretty sure we're gonna just see that she is not responsible.
Yeah.
But the question is, who is? And like, because right now we have
Or
three
just
characters.
oil mining.
She's just fracking.
It turned out offshore drilling was Hydra the entire time.
Exactly.
But we talked about it a little bit last week, but we have 3 people who, in theory, at the top of their powers, could destroy the Earth, that are sort of more or less in play. Quake, Flint, and Graviton, because we saw the Gravitonium.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they definitely presented that Chekhov's gun last episode.
Or
so
or it's just them screwing with us, which I'm still convinced that it is.
I mean, here's the thing I noticed. In the title card, they do show like a little bit of red code in the background.
What's the red code? What is that?
No, just like it looks like computer code.
Sure.
And I'm like, if this is
all a framework
all
simulation,
framework situation,
I'm gonna be ticked.
No.
I'm gonna be so angry.
Oh, hell no.
No, but that's the thing. Even if it's not a framework situation, we're going back into the there's a problem,
The future past.
and now we're going back and fixing it as if there was no problem, similar to the framework, which will also piss me off a little.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so nothing's just happened. They've lived 3 different lifetimes at this point, because that we're saying they retain their memories, which is a consequence.
They're ready to
of this.
retire at the ripe old
Exactly.
age of 35.
Exactly. I've always been like, people who get Alzheimer's is because they were players, and so you got to keep all your lies in check. It's just like living extra lives, like you just forget stuff. Now, I don't have scientific proof for that, but
But yeah, I feel like the
Scientists, please message us if that's true.
any quantum physicist out there, please let us know. But something
Quantum
interesting.
players.
Yes, please. We want to hear all about your
love
plays.
you, Grandpa. Love you.
Something about this sort of through line with Robin is that we have May essentially taking on the role of her mother figure,
God, it was
where
heartbreaking.
where where we are in the future, May, because of her injury and because she wasn't around to pilot the ship for them, is feeling pretty useless. Which I feel like May just needs a quick pep talk and she'll be fine
Yeah.
because she's one of the most competent people on the team. So her feeling useless is like, oh honey, no, you're fine, you're fine. But what do you guys think about the implications of her being Robin's surrogate mother? Because we know for a fact that she had a lot of guilt about previously failing to save Inhumans in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really good storytelling when we learned that, because Robin's always had a close relationship with her biological mother, and we've seen that in all of the episodes where Robin's been in. She's been very close with her biological mother. So I thought it was really, really strong storytelling where all of a sudden we realized that the mother that she's talking to is not the one we assumed it was, but it was May this entire time. And the idea that when she sees May, it's for the first time in, however many years, and that it's the first time seeing her mom, and her mom's the same age she always remembers her, because she remembers her when she was a child. And like that whole death sequence, even though it was incredibly long and should have been a little bit
Condensed.
faster, was really powerful. And like
was nicely
really,
shot.
like when we talk about how S.H.I.E.L.D. does good storytelling, that was really good storytelling, and that was really strong. And I think it was because of this non-linear storytelling. I think it was a success. It might not be the big success we're looking for, but it was at least a success as far as this storyline. It really paid off to see that non-linear interaction and then realize who she's talking to. I don't know. I think the implications are May is going to be a softer presence, like not as hard when she goes back.
So, Robin, can we all agree Robin wanted to die?
I don't know if she
Really?
wanted to
Because
die.
she can see the future. Okay, so she
I feel
posed-
like it
it's
was
the end
just
of the
more
day.
she felt like it was an inevitability.
Yeah.
Or she has the ability to see the way out. So there had to have been a way, considering that Daisy was clearly winning that fight, to not come out and just be like, stab me instead. Because Voss went from, we're going to kill Daisy to, okay, well, since we can't kill Daisy, I'm going to kill the one person that has any type of answers, and we'll see how that goes.
Thanks, Voss.
What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, what, that's what I mean with communication and decision making. If Voss was open about it from the beginning, there might have been a situation where Daisy would have been like, you're right, maybe I shouldn't go back, and the team goes back instead, and let's see how that plays out. Or maybe it would have been like, hey, let's coax Robin. Oh, look, she thinks May's her mom and they have a special bond. Oh, she just drew the answer to everything, and it was pour oil in
I hate to say it, but it's entirely possible that because Robin's view of the future and the past is so disjointed, she might have already seen all of the various loops that they've already done, and they've failed to save her each time, or something else happens that results in something an even worse outcome. So, and something that she says here is she's like, there's a way for you guys to save the world, I just haven't lived it yet. And the implication there is that they can fix something in the past so that she doesn't die in this moment here and now, and she'll eventually live to see that future.
I think that, like, from all this conversation, we've figured out like how the time travel works here and how they've gotten stuck in this time travel loop that they're in. The question is, in the rules that they've set up so far, I don't know how they break that chain.
Sure.
Like, what is it going to be about
the
this
missing piece?
time through, assuming that it's happened a bunch of times? What is it about this time that is different that's going to change? That doesn't feel like it's like, oh, we just loved each other hard. Like, there has to be a change. Like, something from outside of this has to be different for it to be
Coulson,
affected.
You made a deal with the devil. You wanna pay off that dangling story thread?
Oh, yeah.
Please do that. Oh my God,
That'd be
would
fantastic.
Great.
I just had a
shows
realization,
up.
which is Mephisto would be awesome. I just had a realization, which is like every episode, this might not be the same crew we're seeing because we're seeing an infinite loop. This could be multiple versions of different crews
every time.
and it doesn't matter because it's a time loop. But we might be seeing each storyline play through in just different episodes, and there'd be no way of knowing the difference because it's just a time loop. So like while you're saying this, what makes this time different? It's like we might be seeing multiple times where they're trying this, and it hasn't worked so far.
If they can pull off showing that in a way that doesn't feel like it's complete and utter nonsense, that will be the most impressive thing I'll have seen all season.
Like some sort of montage with La Danse Macabre in the background, and they're just like showing each version.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I'm pretty sure none of you have seen this show, but like one of the most heartbreaking time loop stories that I've ever seen. Spoilers. Is Madoka Magica, and oh my gosh, if the payoff for that wasn't amazing. So I have an appreciation for time loop tragedies because of that show. So I'm hoping that S.H.I.E.L.D. can pay it off as well.
Talking about the coup that Voss and his group play, I was like, oh man, I hope they're not like as good at fighting as the agents are.
No.
And they weren't. They were not that good. Like,
I'm a Shivya. No, you're not.
Yeah. I was really glad that like at least there was that consistency where it was like these guys are
They're
good
government
at
agents.
But they didn't even have
surviving.
to. Like, Voss was right next to Daisy, and just while her head was turned, could have just been like,
Yeah, he could have been like,
But
hey,
no.
check out this security footage, and then stabbed her from behind.
You know, we've
You're
seen
bad.
that happen. We saw that happen last episode with someone and their brother. So what I'm saying is, it's possible. My thing is, you said Mephisto comes back, and maybe
Mephisto,
If
yes.
Mephisto, I don't
Mephisto
know.
shows up on this
To
show,
fix the time loop. Oh my
fixes
gosh.
the time loop, and they're like, well, what do we have to give you? And he goes, Bitcoin. That would be amazing. I would just, you know what? Would totally make it all worth it to me.
Oh, that would explain Bitcoin.
Talking about a long journey for the
It would just make
fantastic
so much. It
punchline.
would that would be a fantastic punch. That would be worth it.
That would be amazing.
Mephisto's a minor.
Talking about this before we move on, I think we made a brief mention of it, is that Deke confronted Voss, and this is where we come to the realization that Deke's dad is most likely dead.
Yeah, probably dead.
Yeah, for not being on board with the let's murder Robin and or Daisy plan. Which makes sense if Deke's dad was a firm believer in the prophecy. That makes a lot of sense. Kind of a bummer for Deke, though. That's not great.
But through that storyline, we do there's a piece of the monolith, the
Yeah.
time monolith,
Yeah.
which, like, I guess they're gonna try and put it together, or it's a machine that Fitz made in the future past.
I love that word so much in the future
Fitz
past.
designed it, and then he's like, I'm not going to survive to build this, so here's the schematics. Like, you guys finish this. And so they say that Deke's dad finished building it.
Yeah.
So to me, there's the possibility there. Like, is Fitz his dad? Is
that could be him and Gemma's kid.
Deke Fitzsimmons?
I think he's Ward's kid.
How dare you?
I think he's Ward's kid somehow.
There's just some spores
mean
floating
spirit
around
person.
in space.
His name is Deke Ward.
every character that is really wishy-washy on which side they're on
just don't
always
trust
turns
him.
out to be a Ward.
I don't trust him. I think he's a Ward.
I would love it if Patton Oswalt came out of nowhere.
I mean,
And that was Deke's dad, and there was 4 of them.
Yes.
And it's like, you killed only one of the brothers. They were there.
My 4 dads with Deke.
I mean,
there's
good
still
sitcom.
there's still a
Spin-off.
couple left.
There's
still
also
a
a
couple
sister
left.
apparently as well.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Deke definitely, as we pointed out earlier, did not think it through. Don't ever, guys, if you're ever going to confront somebody you think is guilty of murder, don't go alone. Also,
Yeah.
don't confront them. You go to the authorities.
And if you go alone, like tell one person you think they're a murderer and you're going to confront them.
Have
like tell
a buddy on speakerphone.
if
There's
you know
so many options.
If you know special forces people, like and you're gonna confront a person you think is a murderer, like talk to those special forces people and say like I think this guy's a murderer.
Who could he have talked to? Oh, that's right, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, all those special forces.
Oh, that's a good.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering.
Who could have thought? All right.
If you know guys who are good at anti-murder, you should tell them when you're confronting a
who
murderer.
are good at murder and
And anti-murder,
anti-murder.
yeah.
They are great at both
They're
those
good at
things.
both.
They're
those
good at
things.
self-defense. Actually, let's not charge them allegedly.
I just love the term anti-murder.
That and Future Past are my new 2 favorite
Anti-murder,
words.
future past.
Well, do we have any other thoughts on the time travel side of things and the Earth side of things before we move on over to the lighthouse?
Yes.
I mean, I have a million
I want to know what
thoughts.
why that piece
So
of
many
the
questions.
monolith is so important. Like why having a piece of it is so important. Like they're like, oh, it fits in here or whatever. Sure, but I mean, it technically just kind of looks like a rock. Like, how did they know that was a piece of the monolith? Why is it significant? Is it composed of something? Is the composition special?
I think they can see that just from the color. Like they see what
'cause
it
it's
is.
beige. Oh, I understand.
Well,
It was
with the red
painted
stripe.
white and red.
With the red stripe.
But I think the idea is that they only needed a piece to activate it in the past. So using that piece, they activated the portal that brought our team to the future.
So if they can
But
find the
they
rest
need-
of it.
But they need the whole thing if they're going to send people back through
To
time.
the past, future.
Well, so
They should just make a
we gotta get you
DeLorean.
back to the future.
We got to get you back to the future past.
Days
Marty!
of,
When this
Days of Future Shield.
when this Zephyr reaches 88 miles per hour.
Exactly.
Okay, so
We
yeah,
gotta save your kid.
it's your kids. Something has to be done about your kids.
For
So
those who are too young to know what we're talking about, because we've aged ourselves at that point, that's from a movie called Back to the Future 2. And it comes in like right after Back to the Future Part 1, which was starring a nice guy who you might not know, who was Marty McFly, a.k.a. Michael J. Fox.
you know,
The more you know.
I have to be honest. The first one's the best. I think
The
two's my
second one's
favorite.
Two's the
Two's
best
my
one.
favorite.
Two's by far the best one. But
Anyway.
Two is the best. It's my
Anyway.
dream in life to go and grab an almanac and come back. Like I
Your
thought
dream is
about
to be
that
Biff.
all the time. My dream. I like love. Listen, I love.
on brand.
I've
That's
thought about that so
amazing.
many times. Growing up, I would think about that over. It's like shit, brilliant.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, but like let's go ahead and talk about the real highlight of this episode, which is the glorious return of the shotgun axe.
Yeah, Shotgun X gets a lot of time in this episode.
It's
they really
making
talk
up for,
about the mechanics of it.
I mean, it's making up for lost time. We haven't seen the shotgun axe in ages.
Yeah.
It's really important to me,
Except
guys,
when
that
Mac
we talk about
made
this.
one.
You just need a little duct tape.
Yeah.
You can make one. But yeah, we're back on the lighthouse talking about how characters acting out of character. Mac is always the one going, guys, let's stick together. We're in a horror movie scenario. It's terrible. Splitting up, it's infuriating that he and Yo-Yo and Flint all stayed behind, but it was significant in that they are now basically leading the resistance for everybody on the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And through Yo-Yo being Yo-Yo, have destroyed all of the roaches that seem to be infesting the colony up there.
Yeah, which got such a huge reaction out of Flint.
Cool.
Yeah, it's such a huge one that Mac had to tell him to tone it down.
let's recreate it. I'll be Flint, you be Mac.
Okay.
Alrighty, here we go. Whoa, that's amazing.
Whoa! You need to tone that down, buddy.
You're right.
Okay, that was too much.
You're right. That was
She didn't
too
do
much.
anything exciting. I'm Mac, and I have a shotgun axe. We're paraphrasing, if you're wondering. And I actually think you were a little more excited than
That's true. I was a little more excited.
Jesse, we're gonna need to take that one from the top again. That was
Yes,
too much
it was too
energy.
much. I'm giving too much energy.
Tom, are you ready?
I know
Okay,
it's-
Chris.
I know it's supposed to be over the top,
Yeah.
but you have to keep this grounded in
You're right.
realism and go.
That was amazing.
No, you forgot the whoa. You
Oh, wow, that's amazing. That being said, the yo-yo sequence was freaking awesome.
So dope.
It was awesome. I have a question though, because we
yeah.
were discussing this while we were watching the episode. Yo-Yo has to snap back to her original position. Does she have to retrace her steps? Is that like a limitation of her power? Is her having to retrace her steps to get back to point A?
I've seen it done both ways in the comics, where she has to go exactly where she went and go to snap back to her original position, but she's also just gone and just snaps back no matter what.
Because if she has to retrace her route, she did a lot of spinning.
She did
And I would have really loved to have seen her backward spin back to her original spot.
Why am I covered in vomit all of a sudden? Oh, yo-yo, were you spinning a bunch?
It looked really cool.
But it was cool seeing her put all the bombs on him and stuff like that. That was a really fun sequence. And a great way to just kill all the roaches in one go.
How fun was it?
Well, it was amazing.
Whoa, so fun.
Who, by the way, Flint, and I think I'm the only one on the panel that's allowed to say this, reminds me of a young Shawn Wayans. Yeah, I said it.
Okay.
Next time you pay attention, think of Shawn Wayans and watch Flint act and just his mannerisms and his facial features. Reminds me of a young Shawn Wayans.
Look out for that, everyone. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Whoa, Tehran, that was amazing.
Now that they've cleared all the roaches and
Sure.
that they're freeing everybody from the confines of their what do you call them again? The wrist doodads.
Oh.
I forget.
Actually, I think they are called wrist doodads.
Yes, I
the
believe
show.
that is the technical term.
Yeah.
Wrist load jackomators.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a low jack.
That checks out. Look it up. It's on the Wikipedia page. But yeah, now that they're freeing everybody essentially from what Kasai, because that's what Kasai's had over them.
Metrics.
Yeah,
The
that's
chat
it.
wants us to know that they're called metrics.
Thank you.
Metrics. Thank you, Chad.
Okay, chat. Tone it down, okay? Whoa.
Whoa.
Calm down, people.
But so yeah,
Take it down a
I'm
notch.
wondering if it looks like they're going to take the fight to Kasaius. I'm wondering how quickly all of these civilians are going to just completely fold under pressure. Or if, the best thing for them to do isn't just to find another ship and evacuate.
Well, I mean, we know they're just going to be cannon fodder so that Mac and Yo-Yo and Flint can actually do good work, but they're going to be cannon fodder. I mean, more importantly, we know that Kasaius doesn't have his second-hand man with him. She's
Yeah.
down on the surface.
She's practicing her Destiny cosplay.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of Destiny cosplay. She's down on the surface using her camera, her helmet camera, to show Kasaius what's going on. So without her, they stand a chance. I think you would think they would stand a chance. 'Cause
By
they don't
her,
have-
you mean Sonara.
and her balls.
And her balls.
Yes.
Just
Both
wanted
of
to
them.
make sure we both.
Yeah. Sonara is taking her balls down to the surface, and now there are no balls up in the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out.
No one has balls in the lighthouse. Not a single one.
Yeah.
No one has balls. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm guessing that all of the Kree grunts are not gonna be much to deal with.
Before the attack of the Virillion, we see the people turn on Flint and blaming him, and then Mac single-handedly standing up for Flint and saying, "You guys need to back off." And then afterwards, we see, them solving the problem that they were actually kind of the basis of, and then the people aligning themselves. But we only see a few of the people. What about everyone else? So are they all dead, or are they just not on board, or do they not know what's going on? Where are the rest of the people on this lighthouse?
I feel like a lot of them got eaten by the roaches.
So there's only like
Yes, those things.
there's only like 8 left, because that's what it looked like. It looked like a crowd of maybe like 10. Like, we could have done that in my living room.
Plot twist, the Great Destroyer isn't actually Daisy. The Destroyer of Worlds isn't actually Daisy. It's just the bottom line.
Yeah, it is. It always is. I don't know. I think that's because it looks like what happened is they all went into like bunkers to kind of like wait out the roaches and like hide from them. So it might have just been that they're like, okay, here are featured humans that we're going to show reacting to Flint. But I assume by showing those featured humans, what they mean is like all of humanity on the lighthouse feels the same way as these people. And that if there are more humans, like we saw that crowded kind of the same room that we always see, but we saw it crowded with like that marketplace kind of thing. Like I assume that there have to be more alive, or
I would think so.
Or humanity is 12 people.
Well, there's also like 4 people down on the surface.
Oh yeah, so 16.
I would love it if the person who ended up killing Cassius was his remaining servant.
Yeah.
I think that would be very fitting. Personally.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That seems like a possibility. The way he intimidated her right before. I mean, it's something. It'd be something.
I mean, how many Kree are on this base? We've only seen a small, like half a dozen, maybe.
And a lot of them have been iced.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonara and Cassius keep killing the most competent ones.
Yeah.
So we've killed a bunch of them. How many are left for the humans to have to rise up against? With mind you, they only have 1 crate of weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robin mentioned, Fitz gave them everything he could, and it doesn't necessarily sound like it's going to end well. I will say that, like, maybe it's a little too... we're getting to that prediction time in the episode. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and talk predictions, because we're basically there.
AfterBuzz TV.
A big plot point that they mentioned in the preview for next week is that Cassius has essentially bombs all over the place, and he can destroy the lighthouse with the push of a button, is what it sounds like. So it sounds like what we were talking about last week could very well come to be, where he just wants to burn everything to the ground and watch it from a spaceship as he flies away, and just goes, "Thanks, Dad!" Boom.
Zach and I were talking about this. If you're a comic book fan, the word annihilation in space is very important. I don't think we're going to be seeing any references to the Annihilation comics, but it's kind of cool to see Marvel doing a nod to it. Apparently Flint is the key. That's when May comes back. She says, "Who's Flint?" Is the key to them getting back. So I think maybe he's going to use some of his power on the piece of the time monolith, because he can control kind of that kind of stuff. So maybe he uses his power to get them back. I don't know.
Maybe.
That's what I'm throwing out there.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out some predictions.
Oh, here we go.
No, that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm ready for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I think Fitz and Simmons create a remote for Daisy's thing. They can't remove it, but nothing stops them from creating their own remote to it. It's a sensor something,
Sure.
and they create it and turn on power, and then she somehow kills Cassius. Okay. I also think that Sonara actually turns on Cassius. I think Sonara turns on Cassius.
I can see that.
With her balls. And third prediction, my third prediction and final prediction is that all of them take communication classes and learn how to speak to one another better and more effectively.
Like
I really
corporate...
think they Enoch is actually a corporate guy. Comes in and is like, "Hello, everyone.
We're gonna do some improv.
Even though I speak like this, at least I speak the most concisely and clearly than everyone here. Please learn from me how to express yourself."
Since S.H.I.E.L.D. has changed the name of its organization, new
trust falls.
standard operating procedures.
Thank you for joining us at Inhuman Resources.
Tehran, you reminded me of something that they said really quickly in the episode, where they're talking about Daisy, and they say, despite her knowing what happens in the future, she still decided to destroy the world.
Exactly.
So they make it sound like it is a decision that she makes. So if she is responsible for it, we know it's not like something, because I was thinking maybe it was like a thing where it's like complications from removing that made her destroy the world.
Yeah.
Like, but it sounds like if she does destroy the world, it is a decision that she makes somehow.
I was gonna say I think if we send her back, her thing goes on the fritz and her powers go nuts.
Yeah.
If you have Flint there, if he's the key to this,
Yeah.
him holding the Earth together, since he has
a
the like
geomancer.
earth bending powers.
Yeah.
That like they could counteract each other if they're both there.
Like
Yeah.
they could balance it out.
Yeah.
So then you send Flint to the past future.
Just to the past.
Just to the past, yeah.
He hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
It's also entirely possible that maybe he does go back in time and he ends up being the reason the Earth shatters apart. So yeah, we don't know yet. We don't have all the pieces. The only other thing I want to say is that I really wish I had been able to watch this episode twice before we sat down and recorded today, because Robin had pictures up. In all of those flashbacks, she had drawings all over the place, and I'm wondering if there aren't some Easter eggs and foreshadowing
interesting.
bits and all of that. So I might be rewatching this episode before we talk about the next one. So any final thoughts before we wrap it up for the night?
I think Enoch has more powers than he's let on.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm throwing that out there.
He might be evil.
No, I don't know if he's evil. I just think he has a power. He's like, oh, you guys need me to keep time still? Chromatons do that all the time.
Why didn't
what,
you
bro?
say so?
His greatest power is patience.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right, buddy.
thank you all so much for watching. Zach, where can people go if they want to find you?
Thanks for joining us, guys. You can find me all over the internet at that Zach Wilson. Be sure to keep up with me there. We just put out my team a ridiculous sketch called The Mediocre Mrs. Mullet. It is as stupid as it sounds in the best way. Be sure to check that out and keep following me for more stuff there.
That's of course you can find me battling Jessie to the death, and or with all my friends in the hood watching Black Lightning. I am Tehran. If you don't know, at I am Tehran all across the board. That's at I am Tehran.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jessie Klein 1. That's JESSKLEIN, the number 1. I'll also be battling Tehran to the death forever. 2 immovable objects. Yeah, it's a time loop.
What
Immovable
happens?
object meets unstoppable force.
Exactly.
Yes! Forever and ever, for all eternity. I'm Megan Salinas. You guys can tweet at me at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I do a bunch of stuff. Follow me on Twitter, and you'll keep up with me there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you haven't already done so, go to iTunes, rate, subscribe, leave a comment. We love you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
It's lit.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.